We're going to talk about heating bills and household bills now, general household bills, because as we all know, the cost has been going up, but now a number of them are set to rise again on Monday.
So energy prices are falling, but everything from internet charges, water bills, council tax bills, they are due to rise. And this obviously comes at a time when still many households are struggling with high prices and mounting debt.
Let's have a look at the papers, shall we? See what's making headlines on this Easter Saturday. The Times leading with plans for thousands of NHS patients in England. They will reportedly be offered treatment in the private sector so they can be seen more quickly. Having said that, the headline there you can see says patients facing long waits to get private care. The paper says the scheme will target hospitals with the longest waiting lists.
The Guardian's reporting that some schools are closing down legitimate debate about the war in Gaza because teachers feel ill-equipped to discuss it and are concerned about political impartiality. This cites the government's independent advisor on social cohesion, Dame Sara Khan. Now, the Eye claims local councils in England have cut more than 90% of their bus services since 2010, with leaders blaming cuts in central funding. The paper says whole communities have been cut off, with disabled and elderly people hit the hardest.
And The Sun, I'm afraid, has some bad news for chocolate lovers. It says a poor cocoa harvest is causing prices to soar, and it claims that the Great British Bake Off is planning to scrap its chocolate cake challenge because the ingredients may not be available. It even quotes one expert who recommends freezing Easter eggs now to avoid disappointment next year.
Who's going to freeze their Easter eggs?
Well,
the whole point is you get Easter eggs. I mean, there have been stories about saying you shouldn't gorge on all your Easter eggs.
I saw that.
But who's going to freeze? How are you going to live a year knowing your Easter egg, your chocolate, beautiful chocolate Easter egg is in the fridge?
Wow, it's a test of your temptation.
Would you be able to?
Yes, but I'm not a huge chocolate fan. Don't go out and panic buy Easter eggs, though. That's the thing, isn't it?
Dark chocolate?
I like dark chocolate.
So if you had a beautiful dark chocolate...
OK, I might like that.
Right,
yeah.
So you reckon you could have that in the freezer and every day, every time you looked in the freezer, it would be there and you would not touch it?
If there's a chocolate shortage and there's no other chocolate
Believe that, you'll believe anything. It is 23 minutes past 6.
We're going to talk about an osprey who became an online star during the first lockdown. He's returned to his nest and he's come back early this year.
He's been making his home at the same area of the Scottish Highlands since 2017. A live Nest camera means that's how he's built up his legion of fans. His name's Louis, by the way.
Yeah, so we're going to talk to George Anderson. He's from the Woodland Trust. He joins us this morning. George, morning to you. Thanks for joining us bright and early on a Saturday morning. Do you know why he's come back early?
No, it's a very complicated business, the migration of an osprey. So there are all sorts of things that can happen between here and West Africa, where we think he spends the winter. The weather in the Bay of Biscay, which direction our own weather systems are going. I think you'll know that of late we've had quite a lot of northerlies, which actually should probably have worked against him. But it has been noted that quite a lot of the UK ospreys this year have come back earlier than normal. Not by a huge margin, a few days. So Louis in the past, his earliest has been the 2nd of April. But he's usually somewhere towards the 9th of April before he appears. And so be into March, it's a first. So it could be that he's just got used to where he's coming and has found the best route, or it just could be that the weather was fair for him. But obviously, the background to this, we always have to worry about climate change and if that's going to impact on this species, which really is so weather dependent when it's making its big migration.
As you say, it's West Africa. You think maybe he's been in Senegal over the winter, perhaps. What's the state of the osprey population? Because obviously at one point there were none of them in the UK, but what's it like now?
So we reckon there's over 300 breeding pairs now, and that's expanding every year. They're in these difficult times, they're a very positive nature story. It's a species that's coming back in big numbers to the UK. It was absent from the First World War through to the 1950s and returned to Loch Garten in the Cairngorms, I think in the late 50s, maybe early 60s. And since then, every year more chicks and the occasional bird coming over from mainland Europe every now and again has stirred the pot until we're doing very nicely. And we now have ospreys right down the south coast, Poole and Dorset. They're in Wales, They're all over the UK, and people see them flying up. That's really exciting at this time of year. People all over England are watching the Scottish Ospreys as they're flying up the country to get back to their nests.
George, morning, it's Naga. I'm all about the love when it comes to Louis. Now, he had a partner, didn't he, between 2007 and 2010. He's got a new partner now. Now, Louis back, but is Dorka back?
So Dorka's not back yet, and we wouldn't expect Dorka. Well, Dorka might be early back too this year, but her normal range of being back from her previous experiences between the 9th and the 11th of April. So he may have a little bit of a wait. And actually, funnily enough, the reason we named him Louis was that originally he had an 18-day wait for his first mate to arrive, and he sat on the nest looking very forlorn back in 2017. Oh. And I thought, it just came into my mind, he was Lonesome Louis. That was how I came up with the name. And then obviously when Ayla, his first mate, arrived, we dropped the Lonesome, because he's been a bit of a Lothario since then. He's been an excellent dad, produced quite a few chicks, and he never a day goes by that he doesn't bring fish in for his family. He's quite a remarkable hunter.
Oh, I think you've got a soft spot for Louis.
Louis the Lothario.
The Lothario and the family man. Oh. Obviously, a good provider. So you're talking him up. OK, well, let's hope Dorka comes soon. No doubt we will speak to you if and when she does arrive. George, it's been a joy talking to you. Thanks for getting up for us.
No problem.
Take care.
Take care.
That's George Anderson from the Woodland Trust.